Greetings. My artist name is birdO, and it's lovely to be with you today. My journey as an artist has been a long, unfolding one. I um, I became interested in graffiti culture, and this was through hip hop culture, and I couldn't help myself but explore the subculture of graffiti. So I was a kid playing with spray paint cans for a long time and learned many lessons throughout that experience. And I actually delved into the professional realm via advertising, and I went to college at a certain point for graphic design, and I would I would gather that my artistic practice is it's an amalgamation of all of those experiences. And currently today I've been painting large scale murals and been blessed to travel the world with that. And so, I take from my graffiti experience, but primarily I paint with spray paint. But then there's a sort of a professional aspect that I apply to my practice that I've developed through school and the corporate world to today. The journey has been something that I express gratitude for every day. I think a part of my journey is being introspective and, I don't know, feeling a particular way on the inside and then allowing that to be exposed on the outside. So what I mean by that is it's been an adventure and it's been an incredible adventure. So getting the absolute favorite aspect of my practice is that I've been able to see communities that I probably wouldn't have on my own independent journey. So I'm absorbing that at all times. And so I think that's just the greatest blessing is to, I'm a Toronto person, love the city dearly, and the city has supported me. But then to kind of represent that and do that in these communities around the world is it's mind blowing, honestly. So in graffiti culture, you're really supposed to identify an individuality. And I certainly wanted that for myself. And so I focus a lot of energies to being different if I could. Through the college experience, like, you start to understand this notion of inspiration. And so you can be inspired by different artworks. And I never want to like close any windows or doors. So when people ask me about inspiration, like, sure, it could be like, for a long time I was inspired by surrealism. Salvador Dali and Rene Magritte were big on my list. But also like Wes Anderson, the filmmaker, and how he approaches color. So I'm constantly looking for things that inspire me and then adding to my kit as I go. I think my evolution at a certain point, I kind of focused on technique more than style evolution. So I think my style found its niche at a certain point, and then I really focused on growth in technique and trying to improve upon just, it's not, I wouldn't consider myself a realistic painter, but there are elements that I've been trying to improve on that behalf. And I say this to younger artists, like, it's good to have a vision, it's good to have goals and plans, and I've always sort of maintained that. But then there is this notion of just things happen and things evolve. So birds, my nickname was Jay Bird growing up. I've owned birds. I love freedom, like birds. And then there was just this kind of like serendipitous or coincidental notion that I kind of just learned how to draw and paint birds in college. So it was just like a convergence of things, and I just really started enjoying painting birds specifically. I mean, I wouldn't limit myself to that, but I think for artists, as long as you're having fun and you're kind of like, you got a good energy with things, then it's good. And if things start to get stagnant, then maybe it's time to move on. So, you know, for the last several years, I've been feeling really good with what I've painted. Coming from graffiti culture, that's an anonymous culture. And so just right from there, also hip hop culture, like, you know, everyone sort of like, if you're a rapper, you have a stage name. If you're a break dancer, you kind of had like a b-boy or b-girl name. So it's a cultural thing. It was a cultural thing kind of coming up. Now, interestingly, like with the power of the internet and sort of we've kind of all started pointing the cameras at ourselves. And so in the last, I mean, I've talked to organizations like that curate mural festivals, and like 8 years ago, 80% of the artists were anonymous, and currently today it's like 2%. So everyone's kind of like taking the mask off. And I don't know, like I just, there's something really charming about privacy. Like we're at this place where like that we've all kind of like abandoned that, and it's the status quo. But I mean, I just don't feel like you have to put everything out there. And so for the longest time, I was like, listen, like I'm making artwork, and that's what I want you to focus on. And so I've kept up my anonymity, and it's you know, it's unique, and it's my thing for now. Who knows what the future holds? I mean, it's not easy, because the internet is so powerful, as we both know. Like it just seems like our lives are run by our social algorithms and networking and etc. And I think it's just important to maintain the integrity of what it is you're trying to create. Though it's been challenging to always keep up anonymity, it really is challenging. I think the rewards at times are knowing that I'm not doing things for the wrong reason. And what I mean by that is, if the power of TikTok is making a visual artist feel compelled to do dancing or lip syncing, let's say, for example, and they're out of alignment when they're doing it, that's not good. If they love it, that's fine. Like, I'm happy for people to create whatever they want to create. But if there's a feeling of being pressured by the trends, then I think that's not great for you as an artist. And so me keeping up the anonymity has the benefit of it has alleviated a lot of those types of pressures, where it's like, what do you expect from me? I'm a bird. I'm gonna do what I want. Which that has, I love that and appreciate that. I think it's really important to not box yourself in and think that you can't do something because you paint with spray paint, let's say, or watercolor or whatever. So I've been lucky, and I'll do a little name drop. My very dear friend Nestle, she's one of my favorite artists, and I'm very lucky to have her as a friend. Like, she does ceramics, paintings, inflatables, and I remember years ago watching her journey, just being like, this is like, wow, inflatables. And so it's that kind of opened my eyes. And as you look at what other artists are doing globally, it's like, don't put any limits on yourself. So for me, I've painted three kind of 3D objects and creatures on two-dimensional surfaces. So the natural progression was, how can I make this 3D? And so that's the sculptural realm. That's, you know, creating things that you've sculpted foam or, you know, styrofoam and with metal and you know, I've started to do inflatables, and we just created a 40-foot inflatable that lived in at a festival in Montreal like just recently. And so I think everything comes back to, does it give you a spark or not? I think it's really cool. And I think that with any, you know, in an infancy, and then you enter your teen years, like teen years are like ugly, you make mistakes, you do dumb stuff, like that's graffiti and street art, like it's a young form. And so now that we're like entering our 50th 60th year or whatever, like it's not a baby anymore. And you know, to think that people are selling work for gazillions of dollars, like street artists, like that's really fascinating. So it's made it into the history books, which is really cool. We're proud Torontonians, and my hope is that we have global talent in Toronto. I've seen things that are on par with the best in the world. And so I want us to own that. And I want us to I want Toronto to not feel like, I don't know, there's a ceiling. I don't want us to feel like we're trying to impress New York or any of these things. Like I for the future, and I'll hold myself accountable as well. It's like, I want us to do stuff that like Tokyo and Seoul and Berlin and London and Paris and New York and Sao Paulo are looking at us being like, whoa, look at what Toronto did. I think that's what I want our artistic community to strive for. And there are limits, there's funding limits in our city. Like it's a tricky space to navigate, but that shouldn't hold us back. Like we should dream as big as possible. I think that's a good sort of conclusion.